I should have asked not to follow Chris. He's, but Chris, I tell you, is a great partner. And if it wasn't for Chris and the GBA, I wouldn't be able to stand here in front of you to talk about how you can do one of three things. Either accelerate your regional economy. Anybody want to accelerate their regional economy, bring more innovation? Yeah, I think that's good. If you are an entrepreneur, do you want capital to build your business? An alternative way of getting capital without losing ownership. I'm not talking about selling all your ownership just to get money. All right. Is that good for anyone? I would say yes. And these things are enabled today through the use of blockchain. The use of blockchain through real world asset tokenization. My name is Kevin L. Jackson. I am the executive director of the Institute for Digital Asset Innovation. The IDAI is a morphed version of the National DigiFoundry. You probably, if you know me, that's how you know of me. The National DigiFoundry was funded by a grant from the National Science Foundation to do research on how blockchain technology in general and a DAO particularly could be used to expand the economic acceleration that is caused by blockchain or driven by blockchain across other industries outside of the finance industry. So if you haven't heard about real world asset tokenization, you're in luck, because I'm going to talk a bit about it so you know what it is. Because this is how you as an entrepreneur can raise capital. This is an alternative means. It doesn't replace traditional finance. It's an adjunct to traditional finance. Regulatory and legal landscape. That has been a barrier for the longest time, but it is quickly changing. And we are in an inflection point today. And the governments around the world have recognized this and are now leveraging blockchain technologies and tokenization to enhance their own societies. And that's where the US needs to go. So I'll give you some recommendations and next steps. So what is real world asset tokenization? The first thing you have to understand is, what is a real world asset? What is a real world digital asset? When people ask me that, I say, don't you have pictures on your phone? Everybody has pictures on your phone. That is an asset to you. In fact, that's intellectual capital, intellectual property that has value. Software that you've written has value. Future revenues of your company has value. These are real world assets that you can tap today to get capital into your business. What's the big challenge of doing that? Well, you have to have an asset. Then you have to enable others to have a fractional ownership of that asset. You do that via a token, and that's tokenization. And then you have to have a market that wants that asset. Basically, a viable business model. If you have a viable business model, you have an asset, then you can get capital. 16 trillion with a T by 2030 is expected globally in the real world asset tokenization marketplace. Okay. But what's the value of doing this? This new DeFi way of getting capital as opposed to traditional finance. It's faster. It's accessible globally. You don't have to wait for that whale to come in with pockets of cash. You can democratize the investment. It's transparent because it's on the blockchain. It's immutable. It's visible. And it's cheaper than traditional ways of raising funds. In the federal space, this is an awesome opportunity for public-private partnerships that require cash up front that budgets typically restrict. And treasury and debt management, $25 trillion in opportunities that can be addressed with tokenization. Public land, and you heard earlier, some of the earlier speakers talk about how cities could use tokenization. The federal pension portfolios, the United Nations has shown the way with respect to that. Grant and aid disbursement. The World Bank has shown how to do that. The examples are out there. All you have to do is learn from the lessons that are there already. One thing that we do need, however, is regulatory clarity. I have my fingers and my toes crossed that the administration understands this. And some of the bills that are already in Congress can get through quickly so that our society in the United States can take advantage of these known solutions to critical problems in our society. Other governments have done this and are ahead of us. Singapore, for instance, they had a Project Guardian, all right, and they tokenized $1.8 billion successfully to address the challenges within their society. United Arab Emirates, $16 billion in 3 months. Okay. This is in real estate. The European Union. This is in bonds. Many political jurisdictions have tried public bonds and have found them to be wanting in visibility, in clarity, in the distribution of the assets. Tokenization gets rid of that. So the examples are there. So follow the lead of the rest of the world and make the United States a leader. Launch and leverage a digital asset sandbox so that we can accelerate the adoption of this technology. Establish an interagency working group so that people can learn and understand the value of this technology. Adopt micro-inspired classifications. The Europeans are ahead of us. Mandate smart contracts. Make sure the legal standards can accept that. and partner with our allied governments that are already taking advantage of this capability. The United States can lead the next era of capital markets, or you can cede the ground to others. Thank you very much.
I prioritize the GBA conferences because it's where real builders show up.
Technology is advancing at a rapid rate.
It's important that we're talking about blockchain right now because it isn't just a financial system, it's so much more.
In my mind, it's going to be the reason why we will remain the dominant superpower in the world.